Today we're going to talk about the coagulation cascade. I'm doing a simplified version of the coagulation cascade, and I'm making it simplified for us to remember. So um, it might be missing a few steps or a few important things, so you have to take that into account. Anyways, let's get started. So we'll start with tissue factor. So when there's tissue injury, that produces tissue factor, and that activates factor 7 into 7A. Now I'm not writing 7 converting into 7A just to make this simple. Now tissue factor plus activated 7A will activate factor 10 into 10A. And factor 10A will activate factor 2A, 2 which is a prothrombin, to thrombin which is 2A. This will activate fibrinogen which is 1, factor 1, into 1A which is fibrin. Now, tissue factor and 7 are part of the extrinsic pathway, and factor 10A, factor 2A, and factor 1A are part of the common pathway. Now, since we already have fibrin, why do we need the intrinsic pathway? We need the intrinsic pathway is because the tissue factor that's being produced over here is produced in very small amounts and it only lasts for a certain time. So the amount of fibrin that you're going to produce will be very less in amount. So how is the body going to amplify it? So this is going to be done with the help of thrombin. Now thrombin is produced over here, and that will activate factor 12 into 12A, will activate factor 11 into 11A, which will activate factor, that's going to activate factor 9 into 9A. And that will activate factor 10 into 10A. So this is the intrinsic pathway. And apart from these, this is the extrinsic pathway, this is the common pathway, and this is the extrinsic pathway. Now we also learned about other coagulation factors apart from these. These look too simple. So what's missing? So let's add them. So when factor 10 is converting 2 into 2A, you need factor 5, activated factor 5A as a cofactor. Similarly, when you're converting factor 9A is converting 10 into 10A, you need a factor 8A over here. And when fibrin is being cross-linked, you need a factor 13A. Why did I add them separately? I added them separately because they are cofactors and are not part of really the flow of the cascade. And so I added them later on so that we could remember them. Okay, let's do this one more time. So tissue factor begins the coagulation cascade, activates factor 7A. And this is the extrinsic pathway that activates factor 10 into 10A, factor 2, which is thrombin, prothrombin into 10A, 2A, which is thrombin, and factor 1 into 1A, which is fibrin. Now, the factor 2A, which is thrombin, activates factor 12 into 12A, which activates factor 11 into 11A, which activates factor 9 into 9A, which then activates factor 10. Now, we also need some cofactors, and the cofactors are from 10A to 2A, we need a cofactor 5A. We need, from 9A into 10A, we need a cofactor 8A. And to cross-link fibrin, we need a factor 13A. This is the most simplified way of explaining the coagulation cascade. So again, this is your extrinsic pathway, this is your common pathway, and this is your intrinsic pathway. Now, the PT measures the extrinsic and the common pathway, and the PTT will measure the intrinsic pathway.